New research revealing another crucial benefit to paternity leave. It's called paternal brain training. According to Harvard Business Review, parenting is not as instinctual as previously thought. So paternity leave is like a free brain training program for dads. Research finds fathers can become better caregivers if they have engaged in one-on-one time with their babies. One of the authors of that article, gender expert Kate Mangino, joins us now to talk about it. I think both of us found this fascinating, more so myself because I just came off paternity leave, Kate, and here at Paramount Global, normally you get about 12 weeks of paternity leave, and I took every single one. I took 2 when the baby was born and then 10 straight after. So what do you think was going on in my brain this whole time that I was spending with my newborn?
Well, congratulations on your new child, and congratulations on taking advantage of your brain training opportunity. My co-author, Molly Dickens, and I were really excited to dig into this because we think this has significant implications for families and new parents. Academics have studied the maternal brain for a long time, and that's often been linked to the experience of pregnancy and birth. But very recently, academics are looking into the neurological changes in men's brains as well, and they very much mirror what happens with new moms. And, the result in layman's terms is that, as you said, it's not as instinctual as we thought. Parents are not born, parents are made. Parenting is a skill that needs to be learned and practiced. And parental leave and brain training time helps your brain adjust, become more flexible, and gives you the opportunity to respond to your baby when there is a need.
So one of the things that I found really interesting about the outcome of the study is sometimes you hear some fathers, not you, but some fathers say, what difference does it make? Who's changing the diaper? Who's putting them to bed? It's later on where you really need to connect with the kid. That's when they're really going to need me.
Right.
And
I did hear that from people.
What I realized with the outcome of this is that it's not about the baby. It's about you and how your brain is changing so you can be a better father, not now, but that later on, not just now, but also that later on. So, which brings me to this question. What are the current risks of fathers in the U.S. not taking paternity leave, and not just not taking leave, but, you can't just take the time off. Clearly, you need to be engaged with your baby as well.
Absolutely. So just what you were speaking to, that protected engagement is important. And a lot of families might take parental leave together because they want to nest and cocoon as a new family, which is fantastic and makes a lot of sense. But each parent also needs one-on-one time with that infant for hours at a time so that you learn how to respond to all of their needs, which, as you mentioned, will then transition into their needs as they grow and adapt into children later on in life. So you asked about the risk. I think the most obvious risk is that you're missing out on an incredible opportunity that really has a small window of time. All of us parents know that those infant months pass so quickly. And if you don't take advantage of your brain training window, you're not using every tool that nature has given you to become the best parent that you could possibly be. I also think there's a social risk, a broader risk. If we're working towards greater gender equity, we need to not just focus about women's professional spaces and women's leadership. We also need to encourage more men to come into the caregiving space. And the more men that train their brains, the more fathers we're going to have, the more caregivers we're going to have.
So, Kate, I mentioned that I was very fortunate to work in an organization, Paramount Global, which does have a paternity leave. But it's not very common. Not only is it not common, but I think also men oftentimes feel it's changing, obviously, but that they can't take paternity leave or they shouldn't take paternity leave. So how many places offer it in the United States? And what's the mindset around taking paternity time?
That's such an important point. This is a policy situation because we want to have the right policies on the books in our employment, our HR departments. But this is also a social issue, and we need to acknowledge that head on. We still expect fathers to provide for their families, and oftentimes that undertone, the expectation is to provide in a financial way. And some data tells us that actually new fathers work more hours and spend less time in the household, which seems rather counterintuitive until you remember how much pressure they're facing to bring home a paycheck and, set or meet that expectation of providing for their family. So I think this happens in workplaces. There might even be a policy on the books, and then colleagues, sort of nudge saying, don't take your whole leave because that's going to, make it look like you don't care about work and you need to, put your hat in for the next promotion, or you need to work more overtime hours. So I think that we need to explicitly talk about the expectations around men, and maybe say out loud to the new dad in your life, it's okay that you don't put in as much overtime. We need you here. Providing for your family looks like lots of different things, not just economic.
Really fascinating stuff. Kate Mangino, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.